Hello and welcome back to Facer Plays Japan Badly. Did turn out to be rather bad in the end, although based off how we started at the start, I really did think this was going to be a decent campaign. Sort of overachieved on expectations for myself in the uniting of Japan. So we had two objectives for this campaign. The first one was to unite Japan. I'm just going to start the timeline starting now. This will slowly show as UCG how we started to win our first few wars in the nearby territories, and as you can see, we slowly started to conquer northern Japan. We were suffering quite a bit of aggressive expansion at this point. But we were being very, well, not careful, we were being reckless, to be honest, to try and avoid a all-out war. We did make some decent allies at this point. I believe I was allied to Tsui and Ito at this point, when Ito got took out by Uchi. Now, the main problem that I had in this campaign was bad decisions. As in any campaign, it's generally what you make of it. I don't think I got particularly hard done by the AI. The AI was generally pretty good. It didn't purposely target me all the time. By this point in the game, it looked pretty spot on that we were going to unite Japan. I mean, this was 40 years in and we already had all of northern Japan. Was hoping for an eventual goal of uniting Japan by 1500. I believe we're a bit late, but we will see that very shortly. Well, there's Kyoto. So there is me taking the dynamo. So that was a bit early, but I don't think we actually formed Japan until quite a bit later on. As I was saying, I think the main contributing factors was taking. There we go. 1507 is when we formed Japan. The main issues that I had was adapting to the Catholic faith when it really, really was not necessary. Just to quickly pause this. We had already settled at Medang and down here by this point. Most of our wars were now just a case of mopping up Japan and starting to bully locals in the Philippines area. As we'll see this go on slightly, you start to see Pasai fall apart a bit as well over the years. We were colonising around here, Karaga, which allowed us to then declare war on Bhutan, etc. Yep, that's where we just got both sides of Maguindanao because they were allied with some locals. Tondo was a major concern because Tondo was a tributary of Ming. We didn't want to settle in these free territories here, although a couple of times it did accidentally click. So we didn't want Ming to be able to build up a spy network and fabricate claims against us. We did start to settle down here in Lower Brunei and slowly started to push out the powers in Philippines. If I was to do this again, I'd probably have just gone down straight to Brunei area, conquer Brunei and Kutai, and then come back up to the Philippines after colonising all these provinces along here. So I think very early on I gave the Ottomans a lovely ability to colonise right next to my provinces, which defensively speaking was not a good idea in the long run. It made them very hard to defend in that final war. As time moved on, the victories and the expansion slowed a lot. I believe at this point we'd also formed Oh, we were just about to form our Alaska colony. We had finally united all of Japan and started to work away on Yemen as well at this point. There was quite a few different smaller regional powers at play up here till Mongolia started to swallow them. Russia was still quite a bit away and hadn't completely started to push its way east. We had now started to slowly work on Kutai. Pasai was our next target as well. We've seen a few provinces switch to ourselves there. This is also around the point that we decided to vassalize Ligor and also Malacca at the same time, which would eventually become quite an issue with them both revolting at the same time. Brunei was not too far behind in the vassalization. Tondo, we managed to release a well, I think it might have happened because of rebels that broke the country, allowed a Panganisan, if I'm remembering correctly, separatists to form a colony, which we then form a breakaway state. We then put them as a tributary and allowed them out. Alaska had formed by this point, has had California. This is pretty much the might and spread of Alaska and California. They didn't get much bigger. Our territories up here started to expand as we started to Russia, which was a rather successful war considering they totally had us outgunned. Just the majority of their army seemed to be west, dealing with Polotsk, and the possibility of Ottoman invasion. Now, the Mamluks, I really feel, didn't let me down in this one. I think they did give the best job that they could against the Ottomans. The Ottomans had obviously started to colonise, fortify, and were ready to take on the war that led to my ability to basically hold them off. They declared war on the nation here. Oh god, I've just restarted the game. Makassar, I meant to actually pause the timeline, so let's go back to the timeline a second. And just give a quick overview of the Ottomans as they grew as my biggest threat. So the Ottomans came through. I do think the Mamluks give them a pretty good run. They didn't capitulate completely. I have seen the Mamluks disappear relatively shortly. The Mamluks did expand south. They did try the best. Yes, they got cut off here, which basically ended the chance of any possible resistance, even with allies. I've just done it again. As you can see from all the revolts, this was never ever going to be something possible. I'm now going to move to our territories in America and just show a quick run through of that as they start to come in. So we first started colonising, I believe, Haida, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh no, it wasn't. It was the Saga. We slowly started to pass a few more, and then as soon as Alaska was formed, we started straight away on California. We should have probably concentrated, because I believe at this point we still had a chance to limit the Ottoman spread, which would have probably been the better choice, to be honest, to colonise all these islands down here. So if the Ottomans had colonised, say, here and here, and that was it, I don't think the Ottomans would have pushed as hard against us as what they did. Don't think we'd have even probably ended up with them rivaling us. With all this in mind, I do think the campaign was a success, really. We accomplished one of the two goals of uniting Japan. The second goal, rivaling Ming. Technically, we did have pretty much the same development. We could rival them quite easily. They could have rivaled us, I believe. I think we were a valid rival. even though they hadn't rivaled us. I think generally we probably could have eventually, if we hadn't have gone Catholic, rivaled Ming in a true format. I think we could have waited and possibly targeted Korea, gone round Russia, because Russia will never be a tributary to Ming, obviously. Chagatai, I don't believe, were a Ming. No, they were a Ming. Actually, let's just check. Were you a tributary Ming? They was. But Transoxiana wasn't. So as soon as we'd pushed a bit more west into Russia, we could have come down from Transoxiana. Afghanistan, Jampur. The original idea was to come up through Hindustan, but I couldn't get to the Maldives in any meaningful way, which was... I was trying to vassalize them earlier in the campaign to get a stepping stone off into Hindustan, because I believed Hindustan would be a decent rival. I mean, we had rapidly overtaken them. It would have been worth quite a bit to, you know, invade that way. Allow us to pull up this large amount of land, because one of the issues that I found with playing Japan was that with a lot of my territory broke up by sea, I needed a large fleet, and it was a fleet I really couldn't afford. Constantly trying to suppress rebels and not incur more separatism was a nightmare, because every time you tried to move a fleet, it would be a case of, by the time the troops got on the fleet, transported to the new location, you'd had several provinces occupied, and yeah, it just spiraled out of control. I mean, even now, we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separatist factions all going at the same time, of which at least 2 of those will be successful. The Ottomans do appear to be losing... No, they're winning this war. I'm not sure how. Oh, it's because they have fronts here. Are you... Oh, I thought I was about to say they were a tributary. Ah, Makassar is a tributary of mine, but they mustn't have been the ones who were declared war on. Oh, were they? Let's have a look. No, it was Tidor. But, yeah, the Ottomans generally out-colonised me, which was a bit of a surprise. I should have colonised a bit better. Should have also exploited this power vacuum in Africa. With Portugal being so weak in Africa, we could have probably won a war for these South African provinces, especially with Kilwar's help. Along with that, we could probably force some more, if this game continued, from Congo. Sadly, I think letting the Ottomans in and the Catholic conversion was the main downfalls of this campaign. If I hadn't let the Ottomans in, hadn't converted to Catholicism, I wouldn't have had the rebels. I wouldn't have been constantly wasting manpower, money, resources, etc. on fighting the rebels. And I really think that we could have pushed Portugal out here, forged a couple more wars earlier on against Congo, basically turned Kilwa into a glorified vassal in this region here, because we wouldn't have been competing for any more territory. Yes, we would have probably suffered some from border friction and possibility that they would like some other provinces, but we could have then used that as a stepping stone to move troops up and along here, up to the northwest, where Nupe, Mali and Morocco would have been no match for us. I really think that, combined with a successful campaign in India, would have provided us the income, the manpower, and the dominant position where we could threaten Ming in a true one-on-one. So thank you very much for watching if you've watched any of these episodes, and I will be starting a new series on Friday the 27th of July. I was originally intending to do a Great Britain campaign because I will be enabling Real Britannia for the first time, but I am reconsidering that. I'm thinking of trying a campaign with another nation. I'm not sure what yet. I think I might try a Brandenburg or a Bohemia campaign, maybe even a Denmark campaign, or even a violent Papal States. I mean, the Papal States really have shown me how it's done this time. They've been pretty successful. They've had some very weird allies through this campaign. I've noticed they've been allied with the Ottomans at times. They've also been allied with quite a lot of reformed powers by the looks of it. They are currently allied with the Knights, who are Catholic, Great Britain, who is Catholic, Brandenburg, who is reformed, and Salzburg. Where is Salzburg? Salzburg is Catholic, but yes, still reformed, and they've... Oh. The Ottomans still have not converted any of their provinces. They must have the same sort of unity in issues that I've had, I believe. But yeah, that was it in completion. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.